Well, there's a chance for it, but I don't think our guys will fall into a pattern like that. We want to win every game. I've never seen a group of guys that are quite like that. See, we were down goal the other night in Tulsa and came back and scored 4 in the second period and beat them. I don't think we're going to let ourselves get complacent. We don't want to.
How are you feeling about your own performance at this stage of the season?
Well, I feel I've come along, and I've played better the last 10 games I've played, but there's been a lot of help on the blue line, and the forwards are coming back a lot better. We're playing a much better defensive game since I've been back in. But I don't think I'm ready for the playoffs yet. I think we've got another month and a half, 2 months to go, and I think by then we should be hitting a pretty good peak, the whole 20 of us.
The club's been fortunate in that with all the injuries you've had, somebody's always been able to step in and fill a gap, haven't they?
We've been very lucky. We've been real lucky that way. We've never had, let's see, one guy carrying the whole load, you can put it that way.
Well, of course, John Connally is great as far as I am concerned. John Connally, of course, I think is a man for our time because he is a leader showing us that a man should be greater than his political side. He's a Democrat, but to him, America and people internationally come first. And I see that his work, his role upon this earth is just beginning. The big things are yet ahead.
Do you see him as a major political leader elected?
When you say elected, I see him as a major political leader, yes. And he will go down in history as a great man, as one of America's great men.
The terse message on the side of the police car is a misnomer. Bear, spelled B-E-A-R, is the German Shepherd, and he's back on the Dallas police force. Bear is a friendly, playful, 3-year-old German Shepherd, but this is all a part of his unique training. Bear is a bomb finder. In his work for the Dallas Police Department, he is never allowed to make even one mistake. Bear came to the police workshop at Fair Park today, demonstrating his exacting training. At the command from his trainer, Bear begins the hunt. Earlier, I hid an almost odorless plastic explosive C4 for the dog to find. Dallas Patrolman Shelton Norman is Bear's trainer. The two were dismissed from the Dallas Police Department last December the 27th when Officer Norman's pistol discharged during a disturbance. Since then, Norman has been reinstated and the pair are back at work. The dog was in training for 4 months to detect the odor of dynamite and C4. He is one of the 10 German Shepherds in the Dallas Police Department's Canine Unit of the Tactical Section.
Find the ball. Find the ball. Go get it. Find the ball. All right. There you go. Good.
Officer Norman, did the month off hurt Bear's training in any way?
No, ma'am, it didn't hurt it. I kept him at home and practiced with him while we was off.
Was it hard to teach Bear not to retrieve the bomb?
Yes, ma'am, that was the hardest part of the training, because it's natural for a dog, when he finds anything, to try to pick it up and bring it back to his master.
Has the idea of using a German Shepherd in bomb detection been used anywhere else in the United States?
Yes, ma'am, it's been used in Washington, D.C. However, we train our dog a little bit different from theirs. They teach their dog to bark when he alerts on a bomb. We teach ours to sit, because some bombs are made up in such a way that they will explode by sound waves or the slightest disturbance.
Will Bear respond to anyone saying find the bomb, or just you?
Well, I trained him to work with me, but I've also trained some of the other officers to handle him in case that something happens that I'm not available.
Has Bear ever been fooled in finding a bomb?
No, ma'am, he hadn't yet.
Man's best friend is getting smarter all the time. Now he's a specialized member of the Dallas Police Force. This is Donna Witkowski for Channel 8 News on the Move.
It's not such a bad idea if you think about it. The North Central Texas Council of Governments now consists of 137 governmental bodies. It has 100 cities and 11 counties, with the potential of taking on 5 more counties. COG has school districts and even a river authority. If made into a separate state, COG would have a population larger than 20 other states and an area larger than 7 other states. In fact, the potential state would have its own Major League Soccer, baseball, football, and basketball teams. And if COG's traditional method of obtaining finances is any indication, the whole state could be run on federal grants. But perhaps the speculation there breaks down. Referring to today's 6th annual meeting of the Council of Governments, it's not that hard to imagine Arlington as state capital and Tommy Vandergriff as governor, but the Inn of Six Flags just doesn't seem to me to be an appropriate Capitol building. For Channel 8 News on the Move, I'm Jay Lewis in Arlington.
Well, it was a big win for us, Jerry. Our kids really got with it and worked hard at both ends of the court, and I was very much pleased with our defense, because the last couple of ball games, this is where we've fallen off, and we really got with it last night and did a tremendous job.
Do you feel the Tech will help you out in some of those home games that they face with contending clubs?
Well, I think at this stage of the race, you got to help yourself. You can't depend upon anybody else to do your job for you. And I just hope that we can continue to play well and go to Texas Saturday and put a good ball game together on the road, which we haven't done in quite a while.
Is Gregory Gymnasium a tough place for the visiting team?
They're all tough places for the visiting team, Jerry. Texas is especially tough for us. We haven't played real well there recently, but we can go down there and do a good job, and I think we will.
Who would you have to stop on the Longhorns in order to win, would you say?
Well, of course, I think Texas has tremendous balance. This is one of their strong parts, but they have Larry Robinson, and he's the outstanding sophomore in the league, a tremendous scorer. We didn't contain him very well here, and we'll have to do a good job on him down there.
The Texas Hemophilia Association, I think, has all sides of the picture because we fought the commercial blood banks for 2 years. We recognize the conspiratorial and collusive nature of their employing hospital pathologists to run the blood banks and make the basic decisions as to where the hospital will purchase its blood. In good conscience, I could not continue to allow the families and the community blood banks to bear the brunt of a retaliatory response from pathologists and from commercial blood banks. And therefore, I either had to cease and desist saying what it was that I was saying, or divorce myself from the Texas Hemophilia Association and Carter Blood Center, and that's what I've done.
The meeting began with a prayer by Dr. Emmett Conrad, the only black member of the school board, calling for unity and understanding among people. But some of what followed had little to do with unity and understanding. First, black militant leader Al Lipscomb led a group of other blacks who attacked the school board for its handling of the situation at Carter High School. Words like racism and bad faith were flung at the school board before emotions finally subsided. Then people concerned about the situation at Hillcrest High School testified before the school board about the safety and welfare of students at that school.
Some of these attacks have been labeled as exaggerated rumors, and I am here to tell you that they are facts.
When the black kids first went to Hillcrest, there was no orientation whatsoever given to them. They are from the gut level, Rosenholm, Ray, ghetto area. They might have a different culture background than the middle class affluence, but they have human dignity, but there is a difference in culture and whatsoever.
If our schools become a place where the students are afraid to walk down the halls and go to the restroom, it's not the kind of a school that we desire and we want.
The school board gave its assurance that everything possible is being done to ensure the safety and the welfare of the students in the Dallas public schools. And so the meeting finally ended on a positive note, the same way it began. Jack Hill, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Fort Worth City Manager Roger Line heads a delegation asking the hospital district to consider providing all ambulance service in the county. The city managers feel if it is a valid concept that the county hospital serve all the people in the county, then it should be a valid concept that the ambulance service should serve all of the people in the county. But there are many problems that arise. Number one is money. John Peter Smith Hospital Administrator William Taylor is assigned to tackle that problem.
It would not be possible this budget year to do it on a deficit basis because it is not in our fiscal planning for this year. In future years, it depends upon the size of the deficit financing that would be required, and certainly this is one of the things that we would want to find out in the feasibility study that will be undertaken.
Taylor is hopeful the Council of Governments will participate in the program. Several areas have been discussed, including the use of fire stations as ambulance substations. One man who knows the ambulance business well is Joe Brown. He is the manager of Crowder Ambulance Service under contract to the city of Fort Worth to provide emergency medical transportation until 1973. He doesn't feel the countywide plan is feasible at all.
You're talking about an area that there's very little income from, and any of the municipalities around the city of Fort Worth or the county area doesn't feel like it's their responsibility to take over this burden on the taxpayer. Well, the city of Houston, some 6 months ago, went into ambulance service on a city-wide operation. They put it in their fire department. And since they have been in operation, the city appropriated $1.3 million for a year's operation in the city of Houston. This amount lasted between 3 and 4 months.
Brown added that he feels Dallas will eventually be paying $2 million a year for ambulance service when that service is placed in fire stations in that city. The prospect of state legislation to provide the service has also been mentioned several times recently. One plan would tax every citizen in the county to finance countywide ambulance service. But legislators locally don't like that idea. State Representative Mike Moncrief said, however, that there is the possibility that state aid could be given if a bracket bill is passed, especially for highly populated counties in the state. Moncrief said a detailed study would first have to be made. Most of the suburban cities in Tarrant County, 37 of them, now have at least some type of ambulance service without having to pay for it. If all the cities do not participate, the same inequities in service that now exist would continue. 10 out of 12 cities that I contacted voiced satisfaction with their current system. But most everyone involved, the cities, the county, and the hospital district, agree that a countywide ambulance service is needed. But the question remains, who will pay for it? Jim Green, Channel 8 News on the Move in Fort Worth.
So the Mustangs were the only ones who won at home last night. Do you think this might be a good omen for Saturday?
Well, I don't know, but those were big road victories, especially for A&M, and TCU pulled one out late in the ball game. And if you're going to stay in the race, this is what you have to do, and I hope that we'll be up to that.
Do you think, did Corver try not to foul as much last night?
Well, we've talked all along during the season. And I had another session with Clayton before the ball game, and he was trying his best not to make any careless fouls, and this is what we've tried to cut down on.